everybody, and welcome to Season 4 of GuildFellows, The Quiet Cataclysm. Before we continue where we left off, let's hear who we have at the table, both players and characters. Hannah, will you begin?
I am Hannah, playing Winnie, Guardian of the Shared Sky.
Brennan?
I'm Brennan, playing Brother Arcos Gerard, Priest of Fyria.
And Rob?
I'm Rob. I'm playing Magnus Vale, the Master of Day and Night, wizard extraordinaire, and somebody who's trying to turn his brother into a frog. How did we get here?
And I am Amelia Som, your GM for the game. So let's just, cut straight to the part of the story everyone is waiting to hear continue. Brennan, what's Arcos been doing?
I am almost positive that is not the part of the story.
I need some Arcos in my life right now.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've heard from Arcos. You're
just trying to delay the... Sorry, what? First.
I was just saying it's been a while since we've heard from Arcos, and I feel like that's, I think that's the most natural part to continue from based on where we left off.
I'm trying to figure out if this is merciful to Rob to allow him to stew in the frog juices, or if this is a punishment. But I guess we'll see how the frog juices go. Arcos is currently gathering some of the soldiers ready to raid the camp upon the signal, which I'm sure I remember from last week. After Winnie completes an infiltration. So just finding some choice recruits who aren't gonna get murked in the first wave.
Yeah. Who are you looking for?
It would be great to find some of our... So the stealth part, I imagine, is going to be ending either before or with Arcos and the crew. So... we'd probably be looking for some heavier, some big guns, maybe not stealthy people, but anybody with a good amount of armor and strength on them.
Yeah, easy enough to find a handful. I mean, you all handpicked these warriors. I assume there's probably a couple other followers of Fyria who you would have brought. Who tend to be heavy hitters. Now, you guys were, if I'm not mistaken, supposed to be coming up with a distraction.
Oh, yes, distraction. I do have a distraction planned. And that distraction is a fire we're lighting in the forest on a different direction from which we will be attacking.
Okay, so if you guys... we're coming through the east gate. You made camp on the northern side of this area. So do you want to make like a fire like from the south?
Yeah, I think that would make sense. We can just I bet I could go it alone, right? Minimize detection and then just be right back.
Yeah, how are you gonna do this wildfire? Like gender reveal party, or what are we gonna do?
Yeah, I've got a military grade ordnance that can blow up several houses with me.
You just keep that on you?
I guess I reveal a lot of genders for some reason. No, not really. I have a. I feel like I would start pretty simple and just use my survival kit, get some flint and steel, and if it doesn't work, just whisper a prayer.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you're gonna go. So you break off toward the south. You're going outside of the city walls to start a wildfire. Yeah. So you got your flint and steel. What are you gonna catch on fire first? How are you gonna do this?
Gather some tinder. Are there any is there some dead grass around?
All the grass here is dead. Forest. Most of the trees here are either monstrously twisted. None of them look well. They're all in some ways corrupted. Some, the top halves have broken off. It looks like parts have just rotted, no longer able to support their own weight. So
Okay, plan B. I'm going to take out 2 of my torches
okay.
and flint and steel light both of them. And then would I be permitted to say a prayer to enlarge the flame, or at least the smoke?
Yeah, go ahead and give me what's the word in this system? There's a specific
I forgot it too. I'm looking.
that there's
Skill
one of
check?
the
Or what are you
What?
saying?
not
So
the
I
skill
said-
check. The 6 skills. Hold on.
Attributes.
Attributes?
Yeah, the attributes. I'm trying to remember which attribute.
Spirit?
Agility, smarts, spirit, strength, vigor.
Spirit.
All right. Here we go. Here's the die. Here's the die. Here we go. That is a 10.
Okay.
Well, do I get the wild card too?
Yes.
That is a 13.
Okay, so with the 13, as you light your torches, you hold them outward from yourself like a beacon. And as you close your eyes and mutter a prayer up to Furia, there's this like moment of pause within yourself. Are you sure this is what you want to do? Is like a feeling that you get, not a specifically articulated sentence.
I feel like I would hold my breath for a second, but Arcos is pretty sure of himself at this point in time, so he can't have a bad idea. Whatever.
And as that assuredness washes over you from the core of yourself outward, once that wave sort of hits your fingertips, extends up the torch, the light at the top dims and condenses inward, almost dying. And in that one moment, it explodes outward above yourself. You're kind of holding this torch up and in front of you like a prayer, and there's just this burst of white, bright energy that sears anything. I guess you're fairly tall. If you're holding this up, it's at least like 10 feet or so in the air, and it's almost as if everything at that level of the forest is just decimated. And what's left up there catches on fire, and around you, the tree stumps also catch for probably 50 feet in every direction. You are now swallowed in an inferno.
Jesus, that was.
It's a boy.
That sounds pretty distracting. out of the old frying pan and into the fire, it seems. What are the chances somebody saw the portable nuke that was just detonated a few yards from the city walls?
Yeah, how far south of the walls were you going? So there's like 100-foot gap in between the city walls and the forest. How far into the forest did you go?
I would say probably a good half mile.
Yeah, so I would say for anyone who was keeping watch in any capacity, the sort of it wasn't quite the noise of an explosion, more like the sound like a water balloon makes when it hits the ground. Like there wasn't a cacophonous like booming sound, but there was this just sort of like release. And it was initially a very bright burst that has now settled into a much more reasonable flame. And anyone who was outside or who was on the city wall is likely able to see that.
All right, I'm gonna stick both torches in the ground, and just stick them there for a bit. Oh boy. I didn't think the rotted plant life would catch this easily. Would I be able to tell how easily I started like a wildfire, like a California wildfire? Or, like, I'm trying to figure out my crimes against Mother Nature here.
Like right now, everything in at least a 50-foot radius of you is caught on fire. It is difficult to it's you're now starting to literally feel the heat. You do not know how to contain this. I mean, you've seen fires destroy forests. There's nothing really to say whether or not like this could turn into something bigger. It could die down. There's not a whole lot of rain in this area. Yeah.
Okay.
But fuck it. This place is trashed anyway.
Plan B.
Right?
Plan B. Plan B. Okay. Plan B. Fear is the god of balance and things that are. Would I be able to pray for rain? Distraction's definitely been made. Fire has served its purpose. Could I call upon rain, please?
Yeah, you kind of in a semi-panic call for rain to come down, and go ahead and make another check for me.
Oh God, that is a 4.
So with that 4, you pray for rain. And in reaching out toward your God, you are sort of faced with a sort of metaphysical mirror. Instead of hearing Furia's voice or getting any specific feedback from them, a yes or a no, you get that certainty that you had right before you prayed to Furia for a cleansing flame. And you were certain of it. And these are the consequences.
Okay. I'm going to run real quick to let's see, we're south of it. If it reaches the enemy camp, it reaches the enemy camp. You know, whatever. But could I run to the south? And God, what do I even do in this situation? The trees are rotted, right? Would I be strong enough to as a forest giant? Would I be strong enough to knock 1 or 2 down if they're rotted enough and create a barrier in the flame?
Like, what do you mean create a barrier?
So if it's going from treetop to treetop, if I could make a clearing around it so it's not jumping from treetop to treetop.
Yeah, so this is like a 100-foot diameter circle of trees that are on fire.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
Just think, what would Magnus do in this situation?
Magnus would do something with time. I don't have that.
Yeah, he would just stop time and stop the trees from burning.
No, set the fire and leave. There's a card for that. Set the fire and run.
At the end of the day, if it's out of my hands, it is out of my hands.
This is the spookiest forest of all time. Honestly, let it burn.
If it burns.
It is literally on a volcano. If you didn't do it, the volcano was
on a
probably
volcano.
going to do it.
Responsibility. Okay. I guess I'm going to say a quick prayer of penance just in case this was the wrong thing to do, and then head back after creating the distraction.
Yeah, you head back.
What do you think the city's firefighting force is like? Well funded and well trained?
I'm sure all the Browl taxpayer money goes towards that.
I'm on team burn the Browl, so I hope bad.
It's just the collateral damage.
I found one dude who I need to turn into a frog, and then everyone else we can just burn.
When he
It's cool.
sees the fucking flames from the north side of the fucking village, and it's like,
No, it's on the south.
what the
Or
fuck?
you're
No,
on
I
the
know.
other
I'm saying it's like so visible from the other side.
Yeah, Winnie, you definitely see that explosion of light.
What the fuck?
This is a distraction.
It sure is. Yeah, so as you make that quick little prayer of penance and start heading out, Winnie, as you've taken out, I think 3 or 4 of the guards.
I believe we took out 5, and there were 3 left.
Yeah, there were 3. I remember there being 3 left.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 on the ground, 2 on the walls. Shortly after you, in a magnificent display of cunning and stealth, silently take out over half of the guards on watch. As you are planning to regroup, I assume waiting for the other ones to come into view before you snipe them off, there is an explosion to the south. You see a large sort of like circular wave of light rush outward. There is very clearly a fire and smoke in the distance. It is a dark night, and you can see the yellow-red flames begin to start growing in the distance.
Okay. Do the guards react in any sort of way to that?
Yes. You see one guard who was in the tower, who you had not accounted for, begins sort of running along the wall toward the southern end of the city to get a better look. And the other guards seem to be doing so as well. The ones on the wall and the ones on the ground. The gate is starting to open, and you can see a small group of about 5 people are just rushing south to see what's going on.
Okay, are there any I could snipe stealthily without the others seeing?
In the group of 5, probably difficult. You think you could probably get a couple of the people on the wall. Some of them are yelling, so now you do have to keep that in mind, but there are going to be about 4 people on the wall. One who's outside the city. Pretty soon, the ones who are running along the south wall are probably going to notice the bodies that you dropped earlier.
Okay, I'm going to take care of the ones on the wall. Or at least try
Excellent. Yeah, so there's one who's closest, and then the other 2 will be coming from the far side.
Okay. Can I have Winnie and Cassini do the closer ones, and then the other 2 on the other side do the farther ones?
Yeah, that would probably make sense.
Okay, cool. I'm rolling for both of them? Yeah?
Yes.
Not great. That is a 5 for the first shot.
Is that for... Yeah, that's for the 2 of you together, yeah.
Yes, actually, it's not a 5, it's a 6. My bad.
Okay, so, first shot, I will say that with a 5, you do get the one soldier who you hadn't seen from earlier who exited the tower before they run into... Well, at least if they see the dead body, they're dead before they can do anything about it.
Right, okay.
So that one is dropped. The other 2 are still circling around, though.
Okay, I'll roll for the other 2 on the other side, then. That's a 10.
Okay, with a 10, that is enough to take out those 2. One of them does end up falling forward, so they kind of fall out of the wall onto the ground.
Okay.
The other ones are still there. So aside from, by now, the 5 people who are running seem to have made it past the ground cover. They crossed that open 100-foot range and are investigating whatever happened to the south.
Okay, so since we're on the north side, they're going south. So they're running away from me. They're like
You're
going
on the west side.
Oh, okay. So are they running into the village or on the outside of it?
They ran out. So the west gate that you guys were at, or that you're scoping outside of, they ran out of that gate and are heading south. So they've gone back into the forest. So that explosion thing, that was to the south of the city.
Got it.
They're running toward that. They do not seem to have noticed you, or if they had probably looked around, they would have seen the bodies of the 2 dead people on the wall, or who fell off the wall. Well, one of them fell, one of them was just there, but they seem otherwise preoccupied by the wildfire growing in the south.
Okay. I'm trying to decide what to do here. Would all 4 of us be able to hit one, like each of us hit one of them, or are the other 2 too far? Other 2 archers, I mean.
The other 2 archers are closer to them than you are.
Oh, okay. So could we all reach them? Could we all be able to hit them from where we are?
I don't know if you have the time to be able to quick draw. I will.
Okay.
I'll let you roll for it. I'm going to say the target number is going to be, I think it's going to be 8 if you want to hit them, and you're going to have to roll for each one. And there are 5 of them, so it is unlikely you will get all of them.
Okay. I'm going to do that then. Should I just still roll another shooting roll?
Yeah.
Okay. That is a 9 for one of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 7, but I'll use a Benny to re-roll. Oh, wait, no, that was actually an 8. I didn't add my modifier, so I'm not using my Benny. Just kidding. That was an 8. My bad. I need to remember to add that. That's an 11 for the third one. Or, sorry, 12 for the third one. Oh, plus 1, I did not forget that. And that's another 8 for the fourth one.
Okay. So, as you deftly take out the remaining guards who are on the city wall, in unison, you all turn your bows toward those who are running out to the south to investigate whatever happened. And at the exact same moment, you each release, sending an arrow through the chest of 4 of these men. One who looks, yells something in a language you don't quite understand, or maybe it's a code, it's hard to say, and darts even quicker into the forest, kind of looking back in the general direction from where you guys all are. As this person yells, you can see more troops as you're looking through this western gate that you can kind of see into the city, illuminated silhouettes and torchlight. As this all happened in the dead of night, you see there's a lot of mobilization and movement and things happening. If you want to try to get inside the city walls or toward that tower, now is probably your best bet.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll move towards the tower.
Okay. There's about 100 feet of just clear, of a clearing between the tree line and the gate. Are you going to make a run for it?
Yeah, I think so.
Are you instructing your, they're not friends, your compatriots? I mean, they might be friends. Are you instructing your compatriots to come with you or to fall back?
Yeah, for them to come with me.
Okay.
Just like hand signal. Go.
Yeah. Go ahead and, let's see. I'm wondering if I think this might be a stealth roll. I would say athletics. This is, or you could argue for something similar to athletics. This is to see how quickly you can close this distance.
Agility?
Agility, it would work, yeah.
Let's go. That's a difference between a D8 and a D12.
Love that.
Go. Okay. That's an 8.
Okay. Yeah, with an 8, you are able to get in the tower. Are you going up the tower or are you going into the city? Yeah, with an 8. To
get a vantage point of everything, yeah.
Yeah, you manage to get through the tower. There's one guard who seems to be sleeping, and you can easily knock him out, or I mean, you could kill him if you want.
Yeah, I have a dagger. I'll just kill him.
Yeah. So you just stab this guy, and you in your group make your way up. You have one person who has their sights set on the door. You have another one who's looking out the window and is kind of just going to scrape the perimeter wall. I think I think it's likely that Aralea is the one who's going to do a sweep of the upper wall to make sure no one appears on you. And you and Cassini are going up to the very rooftop where you've felt those two guards at the beginning of all this. And as you look out into the camp, it is bustling with activity. You can hear people yelling. You can hear like a bell, very loud, sort of like triangle gong type noise as there are soldiers in the barracks who are getting up. People are trying to figure out what exactly is going on. It is chaos. No one seems to have noticed you, or everyone knows something is amiss. They do not know what is going on now. Is there anything specifically you want to do as you're watching the scene unfold before you?
I am just gonna do a quick scan to make sure none of our allies are, because they've already teleported inside, right? So I'm just like, I'm looking to see if any of our allies are in there, and if they are, I'm gonna watch their back from above.
Yeah, go ahead and give me a perception or notice.
Notice. Okay. That is a 9.
With a 9, you don't immediately see any of your allies, and then it occurs to you that might be a good thing if they're sneaking around.
Yeah.
Because if you can't see them, it's likely that
I just wanted to look out for in case anyone was in trouble, so that's good.
Yeah, and I will say that you keep doing that. And we'll go back over to Magnus. So, Magnus, we're going back in time just a little bit. Sure. As that explosion has not yet happened. You were creeping up at the bedside of some officer who you had immediately determined needed to be turned into a frog. Yes. And as you get close, you see the familiar, though severely burned and healed, face of your younger brother. What is going through Magnus's head right now?
Magnus's mind, like, I think he is pretty good at intaking difficult information and sort of just being like, wow, that's a thing I was not expecting to learn or to see today, and we're just gonna have to keep on moving. So, like, the front part of his brain is still working on the spell to turn his brother into a frog. The other part of his brain is panicking because he realizes that, one, his brother's alive, which was sort of news to him, and two, that he's going to have to talk to this kid now, which is going to be so difficult. And like Magnus, I think, is a little bit just like, it's another thing on an already shit day where it's just like, fuck it, like Hurin might as well be here. So that's what he's thinking.
Yeah. So that spell to turn people into frogs.
Right. Yeah. So the power is called Shape Change. Now, the wording of it says the caster takes on the form of various beings, but I am willing to negotiate to make this happen on Hurin.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm thinking a little bit, right?
Right.
As you begin casting this spell, you know the limitations. That's never bothered you before. That's Magnus's whole thing. You are pushing the boundaries of what magical power can be. You've spent your entire life learning when people told you that you had already hit the ceiling and that there was nothing else to find. So as you begin casting this spell, there is a part of you that realizes you're going to have to dig a little bit more out of whatever that ether is you pull magic from. the way spells are laid out and studied is often there's nothing that could stop anyone from writing their own shape change spell, right? You learned magic, though, by copying spells you would find here and there. They're like, it's kind of like coming up with a quadratic formula. Like, there are other ways you can find the factors, but this is a tried and true way. So when you start going off book on your macaron recipe, right, things can get pretty weird. So typically, it's kind of a no-no. You've done this sort of thing before, and maybe not with this spell. Some would argue that the extent to which you meddle in space and time is definitely riding close to that barrier. Do you pull a little bit more than what's been apportioned to you in order to cast this spell on your baby brother?
Yeah. I think Magnus came up with this idea as a goof, but I think he knows that there's going to be no easy way to deal with Hurin, and that part of this needs to be like, I need to keep him away, like I need to keep control of him in a way that he isn't going to be a massive problem, and being a frog just seems like a good solution to that, where like I can just like keep him in a terrarium for like a day until I figure out what the fuck it is I'm going to say to him. So yeah, Magnus is going to commit to this.
Sure. As you take that one moment where you sort of acknowledge, maybe to yourself, maybe to whatever unseen forces move magic throughout the world, that yeah, you're taking a little bit more than you probably should, but it's for the greater good, and it seems like it'll be worth it in the long run. You bring the spell casting to a close. What does it look like when Magnus casts spells?
Well, it sort of looks like, yeah, okay, so it's not fully like Doctor Strange type, like magic circles in the air or anything like that. Magnus's first magic teacher, Talon, was a shaman who practiced like ritual magic that was very connected to like nature and like the like fundamental elements of magic and stuff. And so like part of his magic is a little bit like folktale-ish, of like poofs of smoke and like random feathers and stuff sort of like falling down as like something weird has now changed in the environment. When he's specifically doing time magic or messing with like space-time, it just looks like there's like a crease in the world where whatever he's like casting something on, like where it's just like shifted in time, like we described with the behemoth when he froze that. There's that like sort of cut out, that's sort of showing that there's a different dimension being interacted with there. But I think with this spell, it's more of the folksy like fairy tale sort of magic. I think like maybe as he starts casting it, like some purple smoke starts to swirl out of his robe sleeve and gather, and little lights sort of twinkle around it. And as the spell sort of completes, he dashes his hand into it like he's throwing some spices in. And I think immediately feels like that pull in your legs when like you've just lifted a lot of weights and try to go upstairs, like that as there's this sort of like poof of magic, and a raven feather sort of like floats slowly down onto the bed next to where I would hope there is a frog that is alive and well.
Yeah, so I will rewind like halfway through your beautiful description and say that as Magnus goes in a final flourish and raises his arm, you look down and you can see that your brother has awoken just slightly in a half daze, and it seems maybe halfway to connecting what's just about to happen, at least in the sense of person in room, that is Magnus casting spell, and gets right after that is Magnus to casting spell, and that is when the circuit in his brain is cut short as he is immediately transformed into a frog. He begins hopping, trying to get away.
Magnus is gonna scoop him up, and if I can, do I need to roll to scoop him?
I would love for you to roll for that.
Didn't need to roll to turn him into a frog.
Magnus is chasing a frog over hunched over.
Yeah, the Benny Hill theme is playing. Give me an agility check.
I would love to give you an agility check. It'd be my favorite thing to do. Ooh, okay, so my d6 exploded, so that's going to be 8 plus 6. So that's going to be 19 total.
That's so dumb.
To scoop up my brother.
Yeah. As he begins jumping quite aggressively,
where are you going?
Mid-hop, you are able to stick out your hand and catch him in the air, with no harm coming to their tiny frog body.
Yeah, and then I think Magnus, in preparation for this, has an enchanted jar, terrarium sort of deal that's slightly bigger on the inside to house like an animal that he would like to catch. If you'll allow that preparation. If not, I can just hold him dear. But otherwise, yeah, okay. So I'm gonna put the frog in a jar. It's got little air holes. Don't worry, it's completely humane. And he's.
That's so funny because Winnie just straight up murked a dude earlier, and it's like, no, don't worry, we got little air holes in here
for the little frog.
Magnus, I think, is holding this jar with his frog brother in it, and is looking at this frog, and it just quietly to himself is just I am such a terrible brother. This is not going to go over well. And he's gonna put the jar away. So with him is Ilya, Yannick, and then soldiers, right? Yannick's company.
Yeah, I don't know if Yannick. I thought maybe that they sent the other two elsewhere.
Okay, so it's just me and Ilya, or
I think it might be. I think it's just you and Yannick. I think Ilya went with the other two little sneaky sneaks.
But I thought she teleported us in.
She did, and then you guys split up.
Oh, right. So they're going to clear the rest of the building, I guess? Or just okay, so they're just killing people as they wake up. That's great. That's what I want them to do. So where are we in terms of are we close to the roof, in terms of elevation?
I think you would have to go up, but I think you're on the upper floor. Yeah. I think I think there might be one floor in between you and this in the roof.
Okay. So Magnus presumably sees the big flash of light in the fire out on the south side of town, right? Or does he see that?
I don't know if because of the way the walls and things are that you would actually see that from the window because you're in camp in a second story thing. You do hear something happen, and then you also hear the camp and the bells and the gong, and there is tons of movement by now.
Okay, so the jig is up. Right, so Yannick, let us move to the roof if we can. I need to see what's going on in the battlefield.
Follow me. And takes you up there.
So surveying the scene.
I'm up to the roof of this building. As it is so late and there's so much commotion, you feel pretty comfortable just kind of standing here getting a look. There is a lot of movement. It looks like a very particular kind of organized chaos. as if there are troops of soldiers who are repeating things that have been drilled into them constantly, but there's still a little bit of manic energy in the air. As you are on the second floor, you can now see that far to the south there is a fire growing in what's left of the forest. There are troops and people. Some are... it looks like some people are assembling. It looks like some people are evacuating materials. There's a lot of ruckus going on. And Winnie, you notice two figures climbing out of the top of a building.
Cool. I'm just gonna watch them intently and kind of check their surroundings to make sure nobody notices them. But if Magnus sees Winnie, I'm gonna wave.
Magnus sees her waving, and what he's going to do immediately, he's going to, I guess, assume that Arcos is probably where the giant flame is outside of town, since he was on team
big
distraction.
Shrug.
Yeah,
from Winnie.
Okay. Magnus is going to conjure two of his smoke ravens, and he's going to send one to Winnie and one to Arcos. They're both just like on impact. When they hit you both, you're going to hear Magnus whisper, I have who we need. We're ready to end the fight.
Cool.
Okay. See some thumbs up.
Arcos is going to stop himself from talking
from
back to the Raven. It's like after enough years of this, he's figured out that it doesn't work both ways, but he's like, oh.
So are there a lot of troops concentrating like in the like middle of the town now, since they're all like waking up and flooding out?
Some of them are congregating in the town. You can see that there have been a few groups who have already dispatched out west to the road. But yes, there's just a lot of general movement. You can hear people are basically only congregating insofar as they receive orders from an individual and then they move elsewhere.
I see. So I sort of want to figure out a way to like take advantage of the fact that I'm like overlooking a lot of these people, and like what can I do that's going to be like a good area of effect attack?
Freeze them. Freeze them in time.
That is sort of my whole thing, right?
Yeah. Freeze the whole camp in a dome. Stephen King style.
I don't know that he sort of has the legs to like freeze selectively all the enemies in this camp. That's sort of a big ask, but I sort of liked. So none of our like main troops are like in the town square, besides like the people that are in my building and the people that are with Hannah, right?
Yeah, unless you instructed them to do so, no.
No. So the rest of our troops were being commanded by Arcos, are waiting outside of the town. So I think Magnus, not knowing that Arcos already tried to do this, you described it over Mount Verlar, right? There's all of these like huge thunderhead storm clouds and like big lightning strikes. So there is a lot of water in the air, right?
So there were no. So like
No.
there was a bunch of lightning and stuff at the top of mountains, but that's less of like thunderstorm and more like static light. Like, have you ever gone like hiking in mountains?
Yeah.
Like you can't be at the summit like in the middle of the day. Like, I mean, this is my experience with Rockies because like lightning storms just happen.
Okay, so it was more.
So it's
just
more like
okay.
over on the mountaintops than it is down here. Like it took you like half a day to walk from the halfway point of the mountain to get like in this area. So it is like a few miles away.
Okay. So change of plans then. Magnus would like to cast an illusion spell, like make a spellcasting check to turn the fire and smoke that Arcos created into a like illusioned form of Arcos himself, and like make it look like he is like towering above the tree line in this like smoke and fire form. Just like an illusion to do that.
Okay. Yeah,
Oh my
you're gonna have
God.
to burn some power points for that.
Sure. Okay. How many do you think?
I'm gonna say 3.
3's good. Okay.
It is a giant ass illusion. It's still just an illusion.
Yeah.
I'm also going to have you roll a skill. I think. Is there like a performance? Let's see.
Yeah, performance is one.
I think performance.
There's also persuasion.
I was thinking persuasion, but I feel like performance is better for like the.
Right.
I mean, unless the Arcos is going to try and cut him a deal, I assumed you just wanted to scare them shitless.
Yeah. Just wanted to scare them.
Is there an intimidate one? Intimidation?
There is an intimidation. I'm equally proficient in intimidation and performance, though.
Okay.
You guys get a.
I will give you.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, I will give you your choice. I mean, it's the same number, but if, like, okay, I will give you your choice since it's the same modifier, but, like, what are you having? Whatever one you choose is going to be more of the energy that the illusion takes. So, like, if you want to go for, like, there's this evil being who is going to smite them, and, like, I don't know if you want it to make noise or anything, but, like, to command something of them, I would say that's more intimidation. If you just want them there to be, like, this general confusion, like, oh my god, there's this guy, and there's, like, a bunch of lights, and it's not directly at them, but just to be something that catches their eye and distracts them, that would be more performance.
I think I want to keep this, like, I think I want to keep the confusion going and just, like, keep all of these corrupt, browed people to just, like, not be focusing on any of us, because we have less numbers than them. So the more we can keep them confused, the better. So I think performance is what we're going to go for. Now, do you want me to roll the spellcasting check too to cast the spell? Or are you just saying that succeeds and I have to persuade that, or do this performance check?
Go ahead and make a spellcasting check just to see.
Okay, that's 7, and then 6 explodes. So that's going to be 16 for the spellcasting check.
Okay. Yeah. So with a 16, basically anything you want that, not anything, like you can't like rain meteors from the sky, but however you describe your illusion, you are able to succeed in that manner.
Okay, cool. And then now's the performance check to see how successful we are. Okay, the 4 explodes, so that's a 4 and a 2. So that's going to be 7 total.
Okay, so what exactly does this illusion look like as the flames begin to rise up into the night and take shape? What do the people see?
What do they see? Is they see like the fire in the trees, that like red flame start to like shoot and elongate up into a like torso that like suddenly, like with the smoke, it gets the texture of like an armored Adonis like torso, and then a face that looks similar to Arcos's, with giant like fire red burning eyes and a huge hammer, with like smoke arms like tendriling up sort of like in a whirlwind up into the sky, like above the tree line. And he like lifts his smoke hammer up, and like flame conjures itself in an illusion around it, just towering above, almost like heavy metal Statue of Liberty, except if it was Arcos instead of a lady made of metal, as this towers above the camp in the tree line. Yeah, and that's what they see as things continue to burn.
Would Arcos know if that was Magnus or Fira, like they just did it, or he did it? Like, would he know why there's a giant fire thing above him?
I don't know.
Because, like, I kind of want to know how I would react to that. Would I be able to roll to see if I could deduce that was Magnus, or am I...
Give me a notice check.
Got it. Notice. Oh, D4 notice. Thank goodness.
Sees Magnus just conducting it in the background. Fantasia style.
Magnus vibing so hard on the top of this place. Yeah.
6 explodes. 6 explodes again? What the fuck? Where was that roll last time? 6, 6, 3, 15, 17! For some reason.
Yeah, so you're watching this happen, and there's a moment where you think perhaps it is Viria giving you one last chance to sort of right this situation. And then you're looking and you see like the flame eyes and the movement and the way this fake Arcos moves. It reminds you of a very particular kind of flair that you associate heavily with Magnus. Like, you've seen Magnus do illusions, and you know how Magnus is very, like, shoot from the hip, do the big thing. And you realize this is definitely more his speed.
Like, That's hilarious. Textbook Magnus.
Okay, so Magnus, you have made that. In response, you see there's a moment where it's the closest that this camp has come to silence since you guys showed up here. Everyone just kind of pauses and looks at it until someone else kind of barks out an order. And you can see there's very focused movements in different directions. There are some people who seem to be evacuating something, like some cargo from the camp to the west. There are more troops who are being organized, who are formally like all marching to the south. You also notice that there are people who are running toward the guard tower to get back up on the walls. You see people carrying like the giant bolts for ballista, and so they might be trying to physically fight whatever this entity is. I think that's also relevant to you, Winnie, as you've been kind of sitting here mostly above and out of the fray. There are large groups of different like amounts of guards who are both getting back on the wall and who are coming for this main guard tower specifically.
Okay. Can we take cover in that little spot that you said that I was not able to see guards in and shoot them from there?
Maybe. So that spot that you couldn't see guards in, that's like the second floor of the tower, and that's because there were little embrasure slits. Mm-hmm. Those point outside.
Oh, right,
and yeah, and then there's a couple that point like to the interior of the camp. Let's see, I believe it was, by now, Bolak and Iralea have done their like sweep and were able to, and have been back for a while now, but they let you know that people do seem to be approaching. So like pretty soon the guards will be inside this tower and know you're here.
Okay. I guess I'm going to shoot at them if I have, like, do I have any, I guess I could leave if we're all leaving, but people don't seem to be, we don't seem to be on the move quite yet. So maybe try to think this out. We could, let me just try to shoot a few of them, see what happens.
Yeah, so, I mean, you can kind of like take your pick. Are you going down toward the entry up to like the tower, like on the ground where people might be coming in? Are you going to go on the wall around the city through that middle level, or are you going to shoot people from the roof?
Probably from the roof, which is where I am, right?
Yeah.
Just shoot whoever's closest.
Yeah, I mean, there's guards kind of running around on the bottom floor or on that wall, either way.
Yeah. Let's do the ones on the wall.
Okay.
That is an 8 for one shot.
Okay.
And then, oh god, a 12 for the second shot.
Okay, both of those pass, and they'll hit. Yeah, you're easily able to take a couple guards down. Go ahead and make me a stealth check.
Okay.
And the target number right now is going to be 8.
Great.
The more people you kill, the higher that target number is going to be, because you're eventually people will look to see which way
Right.
the arrows are coming from.
That's 6, but I'm gonna use a Benny to re-roll. That's 9.
Okay, so for right now, you're able to pick off those 2 guards and a few others, and you've managed to keep your cover pretty well. So you have that. As you begin sort of picking off the stragglers, and Cassini is also right there helping you, Rob, what is Magnus doing?
Okay, so the first thing he's gonna do is he's gonna send 2 more smoke ravens to where did my page go? Okay, so he's gonna send 1 each to Jasper and Ralph, who are on Team Chaos, and he's going to say, 2 groups exiting the town, troops to the south, an evacuation effort to the west. Intercept accordingly. Gonna give him those orders.
You got it, boss. And you kind of hear some yelling, I guess, as the raven hangs up. As they're organizing, and they seem Ralph seems to be heading south to confront the ones who are going in toward the forest, or the groups that are going toward the forest. And Jasper takes some people and says that he'll cover the ones out to the west.
Great. Now, the next thing I'd like to do, are there any conveniently clumped groups of bad guys in the town down below?
Give me a notice.
Wonderful. What is my notice? Oh, that's a high ISO. That's waffles. It's going to be 9 plus 3. That's going to be 12.
Yeah, there are several groups kind of around.
Okay. So what Magnus would like to do, if he is still able to control the illusion without any like sort of extra cost, then he's going to have the illusion point its fiery hammer towards one of those groups, and then Magnus himself is going to cast Blast where the illusion is pointing, to make it sort of seem like the illusion itself is making this happen.
Okay.
So Blast is a medium blast template, which I'm not sure how big that is or how much that encompasses, but I can spend an additional PowerPoint to make it bigger if I need to.
Okay, so what's that? That's going to be... I think that's about a 30-foot radius medium blast template.
Okay. Cool. So that's probably... how many people is that like hitting with that?
Oh gosh, if they're all standing, I don't want to do that math. It's pretty dense though. Let's see. Fuck. Oh, I used to be able to do crowd math so easily. No, probably like 50 people.
Hell yeah. Okay, then I'm definitely going to spend 2 additional PowerPoints to up the damage to 3d6. And if I get a raise, then it goes to 4d6. So I'll be spending 5 PowerPoints in all to do this.
Yeah.
So I need to roll spellcasting to see
Yes.
if this hits. Okay. This is a d12, right? Yeah, okay. Oh my god, I got another 6 on my wild card die, so that explodes. So 10 plus 6 plus 5. Okay, so that's 21 plus 2, so that's 23 spellcasting.
God. Yeah. Okay, sure. As this illusory Arcos charges up his mace and points it down in the direction of this group of people, a beam of light fires out, which you know to be an illusion. However, right when that beam meets the ground in front of this group of soldiers, you immediately ignite this huge burst of sort of like electric static energy that jumps between people, hitting even more outside of that initial radius where it came from. How much damage? How much damage
so
did you do?
Need to roll 4d6 real quick. Okay. I'm actually gonna spend a Benny real quick because that was kind of a low roll.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So that's going to be 14 damage there. To all of them.
Yeah, as you do this, the strike from that sort of lightning energy is so potent. There are many who are immediately immolated on contact, who a moment later fall down. Others who were not lucky enough to die immediately are now screaming out in pain at varying levels of likely survival as this continues.
War is hell.
Are you doing anything else? You're going to do that a couple more times?
I don't know how the sort of like initiative works anymore, or if like, I can only do that so many times. But if you want me to do it again, I can. I can cast down more lightning.
Let's put a pin in that and jump over to Arcos. What are you doing at this moment?
Well, I was running back to the troops, ready to launch a surprise attack as they're distracted. I did take a moment to marvel at the 40-foot tall me towering above the land. I imagine that the time that it took for all this to go, I'd probably be back with the troops I collected for an assault.
Yeah, so are you going to charge the city directly? Or you get back to these troops? What do you say?
So, the way I'm looking at this, so you if this would make sense, now that they're confused and distracted, and some of them are mounting an attack on the now anthropomorphized distraction, I feel like we could catch them while they're advancing toward it, if they are any advancing toward it, and if not, we can just plow through the chaos and cause as much damage as possible. So probably approach from the south and seeing if we could exploit the distraction.
Yeah. So before I have you roll some attacks to just see how well you all collectively do, in this moment, if we were to jump to and from people, Winnie is at the top of this tower. You, Cassini, are kind of back to back, shooting arrows as necessary. Erle and Volak have cleared out some area, and you guys are essentially using this tower as like a stronghold for cover and are taking people out away from there. Arcos begins charging from the south, essentially sandwiching those troops who were in the middle between Routh and Arcos's group. You guys can go up against them and I guess even probably continue back to the city. Magnus, you have just let out a lightning strike, just utterly destroying an entire small, I guess field isn't the right word, but a small little battalion, I guess. And as you all in this moment are fighting for your lives, how long would you be going? Is the intent here to fight, or at any point are you going to withdraw?
From Arcos's perspective, I think that kill them all, fewer will know their own. To keep going until we've done as much damage as possible. I think we're fighting until there's nobody left to fight. Or at least Arcos will. His buddy Magnus, he had a saying, "War is hell."
So for some more context too, we have been fighting a some sort of war, either like a full out hot war or a cold war against these forces for like 200 years, 150 years. It's been a long time, right?
Yeah. Let me look up exactly. It's definitely been at least, I think definitely for several hundred years. There have been varying levels of hot and cold war here.
Yeah. So like part of this is like from a logistical perspective, we don't have the forces and the infrastructure, and we're like deep into enemy territory. We like realistically cannot take like a whole garrison's worth of prisoners. And also like we're just in too deep, man. We just like destroyed an entity in the middle of a volcano. Like we're here to smash. It's not wise for us to leave people alive on our back as we try to get out of this region. So I think Magnus's magic is speaking for itself pretty plainly.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to follow everyone else's lead. I'm kind of on defense duty right now. I would think at least leaving the camp in a condition, like a critical condition at the very least before leaving. But if not, just taking it all out.
Okay. Then, in order to expedite this process, I am going to have each of you make one skill check. You each have to make a different skills check. You can't double up. And I want you to tell me what is your main goal, or what is the one major thing you're going to try and accomplish, and how this skill check would line up with that.
Well, I call shooting. Yeah, just
Dibs acknowledged.
Yeah, just to again watch people's back, fire off any stragglers that might be trying to leave to go tell people that something's happening. But other than that, just kind of shoot into the crowd. If that works as a goal.
Okay. Yeah, let's see. That's okay. So your target number is 11.
Okay. Should I roll now or should I wait?
We can wait. We can have everyone roll at once.
Okay.
Who's next?
Well, I think it only makes sense that I take spell casting.
Yeah.
Okay, so now with Arcos's troops like entering the camp, I don't want to be throwing around a ton of AoE stuff. So maybe what I want to do is sort of go back to this illusion magic and what do I want to do here? I just don't want to like immolate all of Arcos and his friends. Maybe there's something.
I mean, you can also cast like several. Like we're kind of montaging this, so
Right.
yeah.
So there's a spell that I have called. I guess that's only on myself. Dang. Yeah, so I think that he's just going to fire bolts then. Like he's going to keep the illusion going, but then he's going to fire like smaller, more discreet magical spells like down onto the enemy that are just like, they would just be like one power point each basically. But it's just going to be like continuing to fling like lightning and fire down as like aerial support onto the battlefield to reinforce Arcos and Winnie's efforts.
Okay. Good. And your target number is a 10.
Okay.
And Arcos, what are you doing?
So I've been thinking about the fact that we do have a lot of advantages, but there are more of them than there are of us. And I don't want this to be a Pyrrhic victory. I want to annihilate them. So, would I be allowed to use the healing skill to speed heal our wounded, to keep our numbers up, to be able to not let the assault falter at all?
Yeah. I think as you're going around, I'm that thing that I mentioned with Magnus, as you're going around and healing, healing in the midst of combat is incredibly taxing. Healing in general takes quite a bit of energy, and there's a whole lot of stress, and you also are trying to make it go incredibly quickly in these circumstances. So
True.
as your target number is a 13. Got
it. That's fair given the circumstances.
I also did just roll them.
Oh, really? That's, makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, so as you all work at 3 different fronts on this assault, how did Winnie do?
Let's find out. That's a 14.
Amazing. So, Winnie, from the top of your tower, you are exactly where you like to be, above the entire battle. Your bow can reach to the far end of the city. Your elven eyes can help you pinpoint exactly where and when someone needs to loose an arrow. So not only are you taking them out, you are calling shots. Cassini is calling shots. The 4 of you, of your little group of archers, manage to expand and fighting on both sides of the wall and covering the city, and basically providing cover for anyone who might be trying to sneak up on Magnus, or thinning out some of the attackers from Arcos and his crew. As you're raining hell from above, Magnus, how did you do?
Magnus rolled an 11.
Okay, yeah. So, likewise, as Winnie's arrows are soaring past silently in the night, it's actually basically people are just running around and then they just fall over dead, not even seeing where it came from. Your magic, on the other hand, is very noticeable as you're shooting out these blasts and moving. You're doing some temporal pulling. You slam 2 people into each other. You collapse gravity a bit, bringing people to the ground for someone else to bash their head in as they lay asunder. And you guys are... It's almost like whack-a-mole. Like, these little areas are just lighting up as you 2 are providing cover for the entire battlefield. Yannick staying pretty close to you, Magnus, and kind of going out and keeping a clear enough perimeter so no one gets too close to take you out, while Winnie covers all of the people who might be on other rooftops or elsewhere. Arcos.
So I got a 10, but I'd like to spend a Benny to reroll.
You absolutely can.
No, that means all the bad guys are gonna have bennies. We can take them. It's fine.
The 12 explodes.
Oh, fuck.
Oh my god. That's a 6. Plus it's 18, 20. That's a 22.
Let's go, baby.
It's a good Benny.
Oh, but I can use my bennies to reroll. So that's 2 exploding 6s.
Oh god.
Jeez.
Oh god.
That's 28.
Oh my lord. Can me reroll again? No.
So.
Because you don't have to reroll if I spend a Benny, right?
No.
Okay, yeah, so.
Arcos.
Mm-hmm.
As you are going out and healing people, you're doing amazing. I would say you're killing it, but you're doing literally the opposite. You are bringing the key to triaging on a battlefield, especially with magic, is that it is incredibly important that you get to people before they fall unconscious, because you don't want their soul to slip away while you're trying to bring them back. Otherwise, that leads to a whole lot of unpleasantness. As you were going there, this is brutal. On both sides, there's no reservations. It is bloody, it is messy, there is carnage and flesh flying around. You get up to someone, a young half-giant much like yourself, named Ox Twin.
Such a cute name.
Yeah. You can see they're wearing pretty big plate armor. But there is a huge wound on their side. It is a lot. They are barely holding on. They took whatever energy was left in them to take out the person who hit them. And as you approach, you know you're going to lose them. But there's that similar feeling that I explained about Magnus. That idea that you're going to lose them because the power that you have access to is limited and there are very particular magical rules. You're not like other people, though. You all have an ability to push that boundary every now and again. And there's a chance, if you push further and take more than what is given to you, you might be able to bring this young man back from the brink of death. It might not work, but you could try.
What can I do? Do I have to roll for that?
If you are choosing to cross over that boundary and channel everything you have into bringing this person back, you won't have to roll for it if you're willing to accept whatever the consequences might be.
But the problem is, so here's the thing. Technically, I have a hindrance in the game, which is a minor vow, and part of that is to heal the sick, which usually meant, fixing blight problems and squashing blighters. But in this particular case, I kind of have to. It's like the Hippocratic Oath, to help where you can. So, my hands are tied in this scenario. If there's something I have the ability to do, I am avowed to have the responsibility to do it. So I'll heal the kid.
Yeah.
Kyria, forgive me.
And as you close your eyes, bright golden light illuminating in the space between your hands and his body, the wounds begin to stitch themselves shut. And you feel heavier and lighter at the same time. And then Ox Twin's eyes flutter open. He takes a heavy breath. He goes, "Thank you."
I wouldn't let you die here, friend. You've been with us long enough. Remember, you can trust me.
And he kind of hugs you and just kind of makes a curt nod before tottering up to his feet and grabbing his weapon, and he's ready to go out for more. He feels fine.
God.
New friend alert.
I'm going to grab his shoulder
Oh,
and say,
Ox Twin. That was hard to see, my friend. Feel free to help me heal the wounded instead. Put the sword back.
if it's all the same to you, can I just keep it here while I'm healing people in case, because someone could sneak up on me?
How old are you, Ox Twin?
Old enough.
Good answer. Get after it.
Yeah, so he goes out, and based on your checks, you guys spend the next while fighting I mean, within an hour, basically everyone is exhausted or dead. But more of you are left standing than them. Are you taking prisoners or not?
Prisoner's a strong word, you know.
What would be like the?
We got a frog.
it's-
What else do we need?
Yeah.
So my only question is just like, does it even logistically make sense to take prisoners when like we probably need to like flee this area? Like we need to go back out of like the Briar Patch, so to speak, and get back to like the main continent that like has cities and like growing grass, and not just this like hellscape of like corrupted fauna around us.
I mean, to be honest, I don't think anything here is edible, so we probably only have the supplies we brought in. I mean, you know.
I think if people surrender and put down their arms, like we will let them live. We just might not take them with us. Like maybe like what can happen is like if people want to surrender, instead of just killing all of them, we can like lock them in like some of this, like if this town had a jail, we can like just lock them in the cells and like leave them for a while. And like leave them to their own devices and see if they get rescued or stuff. But I don't think we're gonna just like kill all prisoners if there's like a decent amount of them left.
Yeah, I would say by the end, some people did manage to get away. Unless I guess you could have Jasper still picking them off. Are you gonna let people who run away from the city go? I know.
Oh yeah, like if people are just like dropping and like running away, I don't think there's like a kill on site order. I think we're more focused on like killing the people that are staying and fighting.
Yeah, so in that case, yeah, there are people who get away. Some stay. As the numbers get pretty low, a few of them do agree to like lay down arms. And there is like what is the word? Prison is like a strong word, but there is like a place where they were holding captives at some point. There's about 20 people left.
Yeah, we'll lock them up.
Yeah, so as you go in there, you see there are people that the Browl had like locked up. What are you doing with them? You gonna let them go? You gonna talk to them?
Yeah, I mean if they're being locked up by the Browl, then like yeah, we're gonna hey folks, how long you been locked up here?
It's different for each of us. I've only been here a couple of weeks. Some of them have been longer, some less.
What are you in for, besides being enemies of the Brood?
That's mostly it.
Cool, well, then you're friends of mine. Now get out of here. We gotta do a little bit of a hot swap.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys, they they start walking out. Go ahead and give me a notice check.
Nothing gets by old Magnus here. 5. Man, I'm getting a lot of 6s today. So 5 plus 6, that explodes to 3. So that's going to be 14 on the notice.
As you begin letting people out, this elderly woman catches your eye for just a moment. And you see her and she's staring at you, squints a little bit, cocks her head, cackles, and then sort of like makes her way out of the door.
I mean, before she leaves, like, with the 14 notice, does Magnus's like special eyes see anything weird about her?
Yeah, it's almost as if like there's like an outline of her body just glowing.
Ma'am, could you wait a moment?
She just keeps walking.
Is Julian here with me?
Yeah. Julian's actually right outside, I think, was waiting for everyone to go out, is staying with like the people who you intend to lock up. And he's like, yeah, so if you guys could just stand here for now.
Julian, manage this a moment. And then Magnus is going to follow the old lady and just like look after her and be like, hey, wait.
As soon as you go out of the building, she's nowhere to be seen.
Fucking hell. Ugh. You think I'd be used to this by now, just old women cackling and disappearing into the night. Makes me think of Tally's mother. Well, we'll file that away and worry about that when that comes to bite me. I guess she's just... Well, if she's an enemy of the Brood, I guess it doesn't matter. Better out than in. Okay, is there anything... Are we able to, like, look through the, like, command center buildings to see if we can find any information about, like, plans, motives, you know, the code breaker for the Enigma machine, like anything that we can...
Yeah, there's a little map with instructions on how to get to the City of Gold. Yeah, you begin scraping through the campsite looking for any sort of documentation, what they were doing, what they had planned, why was their base here, and as you all begin making that search, you feel a shudder go through each of your spines.